Good afternoon, and welcome to the first Google Hangout with NEC Display Solutions. Topic on this Hangout is covering retail and engagement with customers, and we've got a great panel today for everybody. So on the panel today, we've got Alan Hughes from Next Now, Brian McClymans from Peerless-AV, Will Amos from the Big Space, and Rachel Carnani from NEC Display Solutions. Just to give you a little bit about our panelists, and also a little bit of housekeeping. If you've got any questions, please ask during the conversations. We're definitely more than happy to answer any questions you might have. And make sure to post your questions. There should be a Q&A link that's set up. Just a little bit about our panelists. Brian McClymans is the Vice President of Business Development, and Brian works with his teams globally for all kinds of applications for Peerless-AV, from Kiosk to enclosure. And Brian also is a member of the Digital Signage Federation Board of Directors. Alan Hughes is the founder of Next Now Agency, and Alan's got just an amazing amount of experiences dealing with all kinds of interactive content and applications, and belongs to just a multitude of different organizations tied in with content creation. Will Amos is the Executive VP at the Big Space, and Will's got a lot of experience from digital signage from his previous life working for Nanolumens. And Will works more than just digital signage, works overall customer engagement experiences, and will bring a lot of great information there. And then Rachel Carnani. Rachel is Senior Product Manager for Large Format Displays for NEC Display Solutions. And Rachel has a lot of experience working with our customers through a lot of different applications that they might have, and really talk a lot about displays and projectors. So, like I said before, if there's any questions that you might have during the process, please let us know, and we will, run through all kinds of comments and questions. So, I'm going to start off with some Q&A from the group here, and Will, I'm going to start with you. And what have you seen the impact of mobile technology having on retail?
Sure thing. We've really seen it turn retail on its head. It's quite different because of mobile. And what that means is a few different ways. We've seen just the ability for consumers to connect with a brand through applications, the downloaded applications, branded applications that really can connect through lots of different technologies if you have that application. To being able to showrooming, which we hear a lot, gives the ability to be in a brick and mortar store and buy online if needed. All the way to the associates in store having their own devices that make our life easier, in that we can have the mobile POS from them, and you're not waiting in long lines, and you're out the door a little quicker these days.
Great. Now, Brian, with what you guys have done with enclosures and everything, what technologies are you seeing coming to the forefront for retail?
We're seeing a lot of use with cameras. Basically, gamification seems to be a new term that a lot of the retailers are looking to have, as well as the software providers. It allows the guest or the shopper to interact with the display and also the technology within the store with their brand awareness, and either play a game to get a coupon, or to just to entertain the kids while the mom or the parents are shopping. So that's a new area that we're seeing some growth in. Okay.
So, Will, actually, let's jump over to Alan really quick, because something to tie in with what Brian just said. With what you're seeing, how much interactive content are you seeing retailers look at?
Well, thanks, Rich. And Brian, good intro to kind of what we do in our part of the equation. Really, retailers are facing all kinds of different challenges, and all of us in the industry know these challenges are on the simple end of the scale, where it could just be, I need customers to know more about the items that I'm selling, to the more deeper and more complex end of the scale, where we need customers to feel more emotion towards our brand. We need to support these price points and things like that that are more of a deeper, deeper informational kind of dive that you're making with a customer. So we see retailers going all along that spectrum, from things that are simple digital catalogs on one end that help people understand the options that are available today in the product set, to all the way over to the things that Brian is talking about, gamification or brand building or emotion building experiences that include things like games, interactive exhibits, and things that even tie into social media, which is probably kind of the holy grail of what happens in the retail space and making that conversation last longer than just the dwell time in the store itself.
Okay. So Rachel, what technologies are you seeing from the the display and projector side that are impacting retailers right now?
Yeah, I think all of our guests on this Google chat have really hit on the most successful path forward with retail. This omnichannel approach to whether it's signage, whether it's a video wall, display technology, touch interactive, all come to mind as ideas. And from the technology standpoint, where we see things evolving, I mean, the industry can get as creative as they want. We see these wonderful, fully integrated solutions with video walls in the likes of many New York store. And I think that we'll see further evolution with video walls and shapes. I think we'll then see that video wall go down the path of higher resolution. And I think 4K, ultra high definition products are going to come to the forefront, whether they're in smaller form factors so people can get up close to the product and see it in really high definition, or whether they're bigger, more eye-catching, more of that brand building that Alan was talking about, kind of an example. And from a projector standpoint, I think projectors to date have been relatively selective in terms of their installation in retail environments, and that's because they've been not as reliable. And as we move forward with projectors, specifically solid state, we're going to have projectors capable of the longer run times, the 24/7, with the solid state moving forward. We're looking at 20,000 hours of run with really a maintenance-free of a product. And so that's going to open the door for retail. So I think that is going to be an interesting space. And then the last is putting those pieces together. It's going to be the digital signage from an LCD and large format standpoint, overlaid with technology like projector mapping to make a really engaging user customer. I think it's a very exciting future for the retail vertical.
Okay, great.
Hey, Rich, if I can just jump back in just to kind of support what Rachel just went with. The projection mapping side of the equation is really getting interesting. The strength of the projectors to fight ambient light, and our awareness that projection mapping doesn't just have to be a full-scale side of a building shown at midnight once a year, and can be a customized, more human-scale experience inside of a retail space. I think we'll be seeing more and more of that, and anything like that that makes the experience a little bit more magical and unexpected in the retail space is really where we see our clients moving.
Okay. So how much are you seeing with video walls, Alan, with what you guys are doing today?
Well, that's a great question. Video walls are still kind of the go-to solution in a retail space. And let's face it, it's helped all of us in the industry that are working with retailers and helping those retailers stand out, that the quality of video walls has gone up and up over the last few years. And Rachel had a great point, and I'll give you guys a little example. You know, me, who's been involved in the video side of the business for over 15 years, I consider myself having a critical eye when it comes to looking at video displays and video experiences. And I have to be honest with you, even I was a little bit skeptical when the manufacturers started to really create some buzz around 4K resolutions. hey, 1080p, what we all have at home on our big screens, looks pretty darn good. So I kind of was a little bit skeptical about the need for 4K until we've done a couple projects that are 4K based, and the size and scale of the monitors that we work with, whether it's on a video wall or an 80 or 90-inch screen, the 4K resolution takes things from that realm of, wow, I'm looking at a video display, to wow, I'm actually standing here next to this athlete, or I'm standing here in this environment. So it's kind of one of those, it's two of the things that I think create a nice wow factor in a retail space. The high resolution definitely is something people are not used to seeing, and the scale of video walls and large monitors, when they become human scaled or larger, I think that's the magic to getting people to, I keep saying it, get emotionally involved in the space and the experience.
So Brian, we've seen a lot, kind of touching what Alan's talking about, we're seeing this huge explosion, everyone talking about 4K and video walls and all these bigger and bigger screens. I mean, what are you guys seeing over at Peerless?
Yeah, I liked what Alan was saying about the 4K, and we are seeing quite a bit more of that. And it really comes down to people want to see something new that they haven't already seen. The retailers all want to the challenge. When they get ready to adopt, they want to be different. They want to try something new and innovative. And with the 4K video walls and your displays, with a super thin bezel, it gives you the ability to kind of put yourself in that application. The Hollister installs, the Oakley installs in New York and everywhere else, where they actually have cameras of live footage of waves crashing in Huntington Beach while you're standing in Times Square. That you really need that high resolution image, and it looks more lifelike in Times Square than it does out in California, because of the cameras that they use and your displays that to project it and give that immersive experience for the customer. So we are definitely seeing quite a bit of that. But I think it was mentioned earlier by Will about just that showrooming and how to avoid that. I think that giving the customer the experience while they're out shopping, something different than sitting like we are right now at a desk and at a computer, having that immersive experience, and I think a lot of vacations even gone to that. If you give somebody an experience, they'll remember it and they'll come back. And I think that's exactly what the retailers are trying to do with these video walls and the displays. And they've even started to bring in technology like scanners and price shoppers and price comparisons into the store, and they've made it easy. So they're trying to use the mobile connecting to the guest phone, or more realistically, putting in a kiosk into their store that they can scan the barcode on the product that they're selling and do a price shop on it quickly. And then the store, inside the store, can make a decision, will they match that right then and there? And so it's giving you that feeling, not only of the experience, and that you've got a good deal, so that you're not going to go and look on your phone or go home and go, feel bad about the decision you made to buy something.
So Will, with in retail, what you're seeing today and what things you're being asked in the future, what kind of ways are people being asked to engage with the customer?
They are, really however the customer wants, wherever the customer wants, and whenever the customer wants. It's right now there's so many ways to engage the customer. It's not the challenge of the engagement. It's really the challenge of, you have so many choices out there. Each retailer is set up differently. How best can these retailers engage and keep the, keep it in a way that makes sense, that's easy, that's not confusing to the consumers coming in, that keeps them coming back and having a great fun experience. It's why we do a lot of workshops with different brands that have this new initiative of engagement. We want to do this, but what should we do to make it happen? You have to look at pain points in store, long lines, or the technologies that they have within, from from inventory management systems, using everything that they have and are open to bring in to that brand to dictate how that engagement will go. So it's hard to see that in one answer, because there's so many different options that these brands can do today. The biggest thing is, because there's so many ways you can do it, should they? Meaning, because you can do something, put technology in, doesn't mean you should. You always need to keep a vision, have a vision at the beginning, and then keep to that vision as you go. Be my best advice for it.
Okay. So Rachel, I mean, kind of touching with engagement, there's a lot of focus, people talking about touch panels. So what, how important is touch technology really becoming? Is it as simple as making a screen that someone can touch, or is there more to it?
Well, you went in that direction I was about to go in talking about engagement with customers. So one of our pieces of feedback that we've received from customers to date in terms of being satisfied with an installation has been customers feeling like they are more engaged with the store, that they're getting a better experience. And I think that one of the easiest ways to overcome the hurdle within technology being a little bit prohibitive is a touch screen. And there's a whole host of different types of touch technology, whether it's IR, whether it's optical, and whether those types of technologies enable multi-touch or single touch. It all goes down, getting back to what Will was saying, what are the objectives of the brand and what level of engagement do they want? Do they want something as simple as just wayfinding? Another example, and that's something that is very easy and customers are very comfortable with, and you put it in a kiosk like Brian was talking about earlier, and that's a nice installation that is easy for customers to use when they come into the store. But it could be anything as complex as that. We did a recent installation at Cabela's, and they had an interactive selection with one of our screens where you could play the different sounds of the wildlife that was in the store or showcased in the store, to really just educate the customer that's in there, to entertain the customer, to engage the customer, and that was utilizing touch technology with the so getting to your question, Rich, it's not as easy to just put it together. You want to make sure that you're delivering on it. You want to make sure that you're taking people into the, so for example, what is the environment? What you want to have demand active cooling in the kiosk. So it really can run the gamut in terms of complexity, and there's a lot of solutions out there that are available in all of the pros to help patients.
Rich, if I can jump in a little bit on that question as well. A couple of interesting things that we've noticed, in the activations that we've done over the last year or even 2 years. The first thing is that, quite honestly, if you have a monitor or any kind of display in your store, and anyone that's under the height of 7 feet tall can reach it, it darn well better be a touch screen. We don't like anyone to have any feeling of disappointment. So even if it's a screen that you've used for digital signage for years, if people can touch it, they're going to expect it to be a touch screen, quite frankly. The other thing, my business creates these interactive kind of retail and exhibit experiences, and a lot of the technology we use is kind of futuristic and science fiction to some people. We use a lot of gesture control and a lot of different kinds of people sensing solutions to make things happen. But what we love about touchscreens is the fact that people are already trained to use them. So it's very intuitive to people nowadays to interact with a digital surface. If it is any shape and any size where they can reach it, they're going to reach out and touch it. And if the applications are built in a way that are intuitive and fun to use, it's going to be a win-win for the shoppers and for the retailers.
Great.
Yeah. Hey, Rich, this is Brian. I wanted to commend Alan for some of the projects he's done with using gesture-based touch, knowing your customers. And I think it goes back to Will, where do you put the digital content, and it's how the customer wants to engage with it. Alan did a nice project at Harry Carey's in Chicago where they did interactive gamification with kiosks using gesture-based touch, and you do have somebody there to explain to people how to use it, but the kids understand. The target audience understands that intuitively. You stand in front of a camera and you wave your hand, and and it works. And it really is getting to know who's going to be interacting with the technology in that store, and how you can use different technologies to interact with them and make them happy. And it's a really good place to check out.
Okay, great. So, Will, if you look at a lot of the examples of integration or examples of engagement you've seen in retailers, what stood out as some very good or strong examples of how engagement's been done?
What really I've seen mostly are more of the PR stunt pieces made to be in a location, like take Kate Spade Saturdays, for example. Very cool engagement, only designed to be there for 3 months. And we see this a lot. We've seen retailers that have tried to do engagements that the hopes were a long-term engagement, and we saw them come, we saw them go. That's the biggest challenge: is what are retailers looking to do? Is it a PR stunt? Is it just to get knowledge of this new piece of the brand out there, and cool engagements to go along with that? That's great. What we try to focus on with brands is long-lasting, future-proof, engagements that just make things simple, just make things easier. Being able to buy, in through a device in a fitting room, rather than standing in long lines in brands during Christmas time. It's simple, easy things like that get you out quicker. That people say, wow, that was so helpful. We try to do things, and we see a lot of brands wanting to do things more like that, and actually changing their models. You read a lot of stories these days, like Neiman Marcus, and really fusing their .com to in-store. And that's what we love to see, because that allows for so much better engagement. Not only that they can engage, but they can measure those engagements through the data that you pull from each of the engagements that we've seen. So, back to your original question, we've seen some cool things. We haven't seen tons. We're working on some projects that I think will be cool to talk about here in the future. But they're initiatives. The exciting part is that brands have initiatives now that they're bringing in digital, and they're bringing it in a meaningful way, and they're putting thought behind it, rather than just here's digital and it's a buzzword and we're going to put it in our stores. They're actually thinking about how they're going to do it. So just wait. I would think come NRF, you'll see a lot of cool things that have been out there that we can talk more about in subjects like hangouts like this.
Okay, great. So Brian, what are you guys? I know you and I have talked a lot about some really cool engagements or ways technology's been used, with billboard systems and augmented reality. I mean, anything that's really stood out to you?
Yeah, the interesting thing is I've been wondering why I haven't seen, and maybe Alan can speak a little bit to this, where the augmented reality has gone. I mean, we've seen a lot of really cool applications outside with things that Pepsi have done in say the UK and other areas, but it seems like there's more that can be done, and I don't know if it's that the retailers are not willing to invest the money that's needed to put the augmented reality into the stores, or what. But I think that's an area where I think that retailers can kind of advance that customer engagement, that experience in the store by bringing people, not just with trying on clothes and changing the color of it in there, but being able to take photos of what the stuff looks like and send it to your friends to share. because we've seen a lot of examples at NRF where you could be in a store, try on some clothes, take a picture of it, send it to all your friends on Facebook, and then decide if it's something they think you look good in. But I just don't know if I've seen any deployments of that yet, and I think that that is something I think we will probably see coming in the future.
Okay. So Rachel, Brian kind of hit on one interesting part of topic, and that's going outside. I mean, what are you seeing? What are we hearing or seeing about retailers wanting to do signage outside, both display and projection based?
Oops.
Rachel, you're on mute. Still cannot hear you.
Uh-oh.
I'll bounce over to Alan and figure out what's going on with Rachel's computer here real quick.
Yeah, I'm happy to kind of jump in and pick up some of those points that we were just making. I think one of the bigger hurdles, and I don't think this surprises anyone, really it's kind of a logistics and tactical issue to do a large retail rollout. There's a lot of different moving pieces, everyone from on the operations side to the marketing side to the merchandising side have to really be aligned on something that's going to be longer than a 3-month rollout or a 3-month deployment, or something that's going to be in more stores than just their top 5 flagship stores. One approach that we're taking is creating our applications in a way that are very flexible and what we call foundation applications, to allow retailers to have as much control of that application as they want, but still retain the experiential feel of it. A case in point is that we realize that it's hard to gather content as time goes on for retailers. So we're not asking them to create necessarily custom content just to use in our experiential activations. We're building things and virtual sets and virtual environments that customers can interact with in the store that use the assets that they already have. So it's 2-dimensional catalog shots, it's the latest images from the latest fashion shoot that they did, and it's things like that that make it easy for the retailer to create content that's still on brand but still has that wow factor.
Mm-hmm. So Rachel, you back? No, I think we still don't have Rachel.
How about now?
There we go.
All right.
All right, Rachel. So what do you think about for outdoor?
So outdoors is definitely a challenge, and I think that it really comes on 2 fronts for retailers. So you obviously are going to be competing in a high ambient light environment, and to that effect, I think as displays continue to get brighter and brighter, we will be able to deliver that content that Alan was talking about better to the end customer as the displays get brighter. Also, from a technology standpoint, the LED walls getting smaller and smaller pitch are going to be a possible solution for those outdoors where you need that really bright impact. Then the other challenge from an outdoor standpoint is the environment. The temperature fluctuations that displays have to be able to withstand, the humidity, the rain, the wind, the dust, and that comes from a component level on up in order to be able to deliver the execution of the technology that the customers ultimately need. So you're going to need something with an active thermal management system with integrated temperature sensors, fans, probably some kind of ventilation and air conditioning, and then you need something to pass some cool air in front of the display. So heat is the _1 detriment to the lifetime of the display, and if you think about the thermal load that the sun is going to put on a display, it can be pretty significant, and so you're definitely going to need the active thermal management for that. So those are some of the challenges. Outdoors definitely is one of the spaces that poses, just by the nature of the beast and being outdoors, one of the biggest challenges for retailers.
So Will, today there was obviously a pretty big announcement from a real small company on the West Coast. Made some announcements today, and one of the things that we're hearing a lot about are things like NFC and iBeacon. What have you guys seen or heard about integrating technologies like that into digital signage?
Seen a lot. We've seen a lot. I'd throw RFID in there as well in terms of engagement enablers. The iBeacons have been a big buzzword in the brands that we've talked to. What is this? We want to do it. It's part of our process is educating them on, yes, it's cool, it definitely has its place. How are you going to educate your consumers to be able to use them? Because with everything iBeacon, you have to have the app. You have to have the application downloaded, which is easier now because so many brands have the apps, and so many people that shop and follow those brands have those apps so they can engage better with those. So that's not the challenge. The challenge is dealing with the marketing side of the brand and saying, for iBeacons to really be successful, the consumer needs knowledge, and they also need curiosity. Knowledge that we have to download this to be able to get these cool offers pushed to our phones, and then curiosity enough to make sure that the application's on and the Bluetooth is on, so they can get all this information that the retailers are putting through. Not hard. It's just how it's just educating them on how best to do this, so it's not confusing. And the other piece is to make sure that it's not overload. That my phone isn't literally blowing up as I'm walking through an apparel department in a brand, to where everything's got an iBeacon on it, and it's just overwhelming. So there's definitely a happy medium there that they need to know. But the big announcement today in terms of, I haven't actually gotten to read about it, but what we had heard was Apple is incorporating NFC to their phones. So there's no longer a war between iBeacons and NFC. Both great tools for engagement now can be on one phone, which we think will be huge. We also are big fans of RFID, because RFID, for those who really know about and understand it, is very cool, because the engagement can happen just from what you have in your hands. You pick up a article of clothing and a mirror reacts to that, or a tablet or something reacts based on that chip inside that piece. So there's no download, there's no opt-in to Wi-Fi, there's no, it just happens because of what you have in your hands. So we like that about it. But I think, on your first point, I think if Apple can, incorporate both NFC and iBeacon, it makes some really cool engagements, and the engagement's a lot easier for the retailer to provide.
So Alan, this makes your life even more challenging. You've got iBeacons, NFC, you've got all these different ways that retailers can pull content, interactive, non-interactive. I mean, what are some things that you want to, when you're talking to retailers and they want to do all this omni-channel and they want to pull from everything, what are you saying to them?
Well, the retailers that we work with are pretty seasoned retailers, and they know that at the end of the day, it's about the customer experience. And all this technology that we love to throw around is fantastic, but no one's going to use it unless it offers a compelling advantage to them as a customer. Let's throw out a case study or two, or a technology that is pretty much universally hated by people now, the QR code. People would talk about that when that first was emerging as kind of a fantastic way to merge the digital and physical experience. And what we saw was implementations of it that were so clumsy that to even be seen using it now is kind of a admission that you're stuck a few years in the past. It just has a bad experiential history to it. But what we'll see, and I think what's going to be fantastic, is when our friends at Apple get involved. That one of their mantras, and we heard it today from Tim Cook, is it's really about the customer experience and what's great for the customer. So we're going to see iBeacon, and we're going to see payment systems rolled out that we're all going to say, oh my God, we wanted this forever. And those are the things that are going to take off, and that's going to allow all of us then to build richer experiences on top of that. But I think the days of hoping that someone's going to download a special application just to experience your store or to play the game in your activation, that's not going to happen. People need something more compelling that's going to make their life easier or better.
Okay. So Brian, you know, part of this discussion is around retail design, and being, you know, that Peerless does kiosk design and works with a lot of different enclosures. I know you do a lot of custom work for us. I mean, what things are you guys seeing from a retail design perspective that's new or that technology is starting to help with?
So they're, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, good. I muted or something. They're getting much more involved. It used to be just an IT decision, hey, let's just put this in there and put a display up or a mount up on the wall. But you're right, the designers are absolutely getting involved in the overall look and feel of the application, whether it's a video wall. They may want to curve it. They also want to put cabinetry around it. And when they do put anything around the displays, they're going to want to have the right color codes. So we're constantly getting designers sending us what their color spec is. We're actually rolling out a large project of kiosks this month and next, where the kiosk will stand out quite brightly with the color that it'll be. It's basically a neon color, and it goes into what Will's got on his blackboard behind him, online pickup. So basically online ordering, but in-store pickup. So they want to be able to quickly have the customer walk in and see it, you know, so it doesn't really fit into the decor, but it's going to stand out. So you'll know exactly where it's at, and they'll let you, you know, get you right to where you want to be. But you're right, designers are getting a lot more involved in incorporating and blending the technologies that they're putting into their stores, very much more than they have in the past.
Okay. So Rachel, if we look at the technologies and the displays and projectors that go into retail, is too big of a display too big? I mean, does projectors still have a fit for retailers?
Yep. Hopefully you guys can hear me again.
Yes.
Yes, I think that projectors still definitely have a place within retail, and I think that Alan hit on this really well, that ultimately it is the customer that determines this rich environment and whether or not a deployment is successful. So whatever the technology is, whether it's a large screen display, whether it's a video wall, whether it is a projector, ultimately we want these instances to be meeting the objectives of the customer. So did they increase the dwell time of a particular customer? Did we see an increase in impulse buying with a particular installation? And I think all of these technologies, and technology as we continue to move forward, are all capable of delivering on these ultimate objectives, which I think will certainly leave a place for it. I think probably, you know, to your question is what is too big. I mean, you start to run into some logistical challenges when you're looking at a single display that's over 100 inches, and I mean, retailers are going to care about the cost of an installation and the cost to just ship a display that's a single size that is that large. You know, it's going to be a smaller market for that particular type of retail engagement, and then. And then I think that, so I do think that there's a place, and that even though as things get bigger and more technologically advanced, ultimately if technology is delivering on the objectives, that there's still going to be a place for it.
Okay, great. So Will, all this throws one big comment or one big topic out there that we haven't even touched. How do we measure all this stuff? I mean, what's the analytics? And that's a tough thing to really lay on the table for anybody too.
Well, you know, the analytics is away from the consumer. It's the most important piece of all of this is how these different engagements are measured and how that will change the you know, everything from business drivers in store to actually store design, where merchandise is placed, because of the knowledge that these retailers can get from you know, the applications that they now have in store. It's a fun piece for us because, you know, a lot of times every time we're dealing with the corporate side of the brand. So the exciting and fun things that we're doing in store, you know, they aren't as valuable to a lot of people we talk to as what you can get from that cool experience, and that's the most important part, because that's what's driving their business and getting their return on the knowledge that they have from experiences they put in store. So, you know, what is analytics and what is it in store? There's so many different things that can be measured. You know, you've got to look at you know, what the business drivers are of the brand, educate them on what they can now measure because of different technologies that you can put in store, a lot of which from that you guys provide, Rich, and you know, it's just building that into an easy, you know, easy way for them to gain that knowledge back and that data back.
Okay. So, Alan, if you look at you know, projects and what customers are asking for, you know, what are some key points that you want to share for success in this space, and what do you consider success too?
Well, you know, to jump onto those last statements, I think having it be measurable is really important to everyone involved. It's absolutely crucial to the retailer, and it's crucial to us as an agency that serves retailers to be able to show an ROI on an implementation and to show the benefits that come from it. So it's a fantastic thing. We've kind of seen an overall trend in the industry where, at least if you read advertising trade magazines and websites, you'll know it's no secret that a lot of the dollars are going from traditional advertising to online advertising. And let's face it, one of the beauties of that and what drives a lot of that is that it's very, very measurable. You know if it's working or if it's not working. And I think retailers, and the sophisticated ones in particular, are looking for that kind of data and that kind of information from their retail experiences as well. Let's face it, the world is getting tougher on a competitive basis for every retailer that has a bricks and mortar store. So all that data, if it's used properly, can really lead to enhanced retail experiences, and, you know, enhanced sales per square foot, and enhanced consumer happiness at the end of the experience. So it's very, very important from that perspective. So I think it's part and parcel to the wow and the buzz of the activation to make sure that it's measurable and can prove itself as an ROI.
Okay. So, Brian, what do you think? What have you seen or heard?
It's sorry about that. I just actually opened up another window because I was just going to add to something that Alan was saying. But I just think that a lot of the retailers want to try new things, but it's how do they try new things, you know, and appease to, you know, everybody has a job and everybody has a boss. So you have to be able to stay within your realm of responsibility and test that next level. And I think that's the biggest key, is how can you test that next level and show results for it. We've seen really good success when like in a retail store where they put a small display right at the end cap, and they can do those analytics like you were talking about before, and actually have those results come right back and say, because they can tell based on the sales of that product for that particular week, you know, at that particular store versus a store that doesn't have the sign at the end cap, did it increase sales or did it not? Or having a display, you know, at the register to do a, you know, that extra last minute purchase, like they used to have products just sitting at the end of the register. So those are some areas where we've seen real true analytics prove that it works. But like Alan was saying, if you put a display 7 feet or below, they have to touch it. a lot of some of the displays that we used to have up high, that's not the right place to do the analytics. It's kind of almost really deciding what the display or what the video wall or what the projector, what's the intended result. Is it to increase sales, or is it to increase, just the awareness and experience?
So Rachel, I'm going to throw over to you. If you look at a lot of the projects that you've seen NEC salespeople working on and our partners, what things have you heard that have been very successful for them during their deployments?
Yep. Okay, I'm unmuted. So in order to have a successful deployment, some of the feedback that we've received from customers are starting with the content and starting with that experience, delivering on whatever that objective is to the previous points, whether it's the increasing revenue, whether it's increasing the experience, but making sure that you have the right content that delivers on that particular activation is going to be critical. It's going to be the most visible thing as well. And then making sure that it's part of the marketing plan, and that comes to the in-store experience, and that the technology that is in the store is integrated in a rather inobtrusive way, and that just enhances it. And it enhances it because it's part of the overall marketing plan for this technology deployment. And then from just after the install and as things have been running for a while, making sure that there's a plan for redundancy, and using high quality components, displays, projectors, because these are going to be environments in which people are interacting with the displays. They're dusty environments. They can be subject to the weather and the elements that come into the retail environment. So making sure that you're ready for that with a high quality professional product. And then last but not least, working with technology partners. I mean, we're here to support the industry, and we're here to provide the solutions at the end of the day. And I mean, even this group here, there's a lot of collective experience, and so it's leveraging that that's ultimately going to help help make a successful deployment.
Okay. So, Will, one of the questions that came up, and I thought it was a great question to ask you, is, what have you heard with integration of POS into digital signage for retailers? I mean, are there companies who are doing it very well? Are there things you've seen or heard that have been problematic?
Not problematic. I think a larger adoption, I think, would be an easy thing to do with technology that brands are bringing in store now. There's such a mentality in retail to kind of hold on to the old school ways, and I think we see that changing a lot, that mentality changing. Always can be changing a little quicker. I mean, mobile POS is such an easy piece of technology that brands can take advantage of right now, and it just enhances and makes the experience that much more quicker for consumers. So, it's being done in not as quick as some of us would hope, mostly come Christmas time, but it's there and it's being adapted. And the biggest thing for us is if they have the ability to adapt mobile POS into stores, that means that they can do so many other things with the technology, that drives that makes that possible. It's an exciting tool for us to say, oh, you've already done this, okay. Using that, here's some other things you should look into.
Okay. So, Brian, any parting thoughts or words of wisdom for the people who are listening in?
Well, just the parting thoughts is I'm actually really hoping that what Will is saying about the mobile payments is coming, because that's the one area of retail that I get frustrated with more so than any when I'm shopping, is after I've made my decision to buy, I then have to go wait in line behind somebody else. I don't care who that person is in front of me. I don't want them there. I want to be right at that register paying when it's my turn to buy. And I really look forward to the day where the old-fashioned cash register at the end of, that you have to go to isn't there anymore. I want to be able to buy when I want to buy in the store.
Okay. How about you, Rachel?
Give me 1 second to drop my bandwidth here. My parting thought here is that, is one of excitement. I'm excited to see where this industry and this vertical and with these technology partners, where we go. I think that there really isn't a limit, and the amount of creativity that is out there is going to be impressive. So my parting thought is just that I'm excited to see what we can do.
Will, how about yourself?
Yeah, I think it's important that brands, retailers, anybody that's working with them, is that just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. Keep the vision, start with a vision, keep to that, start slow, gain knowledge and experience, and kind of use the mentality here, walk, sprint, run. Or I'm sorry, walk, run, sprint. And it just allows you to grow with the technology you're bringing in. So, yeah.
Okay. All right, Alan, and yourself?
I'll keep it really quick. I mean, we talked about it a bunch of times today. The customer experience is the most important thing that can happen in retail. Customers are getting more and more enthused about the way certain businesses work and the way certain businesses don't work. So I think the tolerance for a business that doesn't create an experience that's delightful, enjoyable, and smooth for them is going to be a rough road in the future. And so I think we'll see a lot more activations and a lot more kind of larger infrastructure changes that enable all the things that we know we want in these experiences.
Okay, great. Well, with that, I'm going to thank all the panelists for today, Alan, Brian, Rachel, and Will. Hopefully a lot of great information for everybody. This will be posted out on NEC's Google Plus page, as well as be available in other social media outlets. This will be a first of many that NEC will be doing. I believe our next one we're going to do later this month will be on education, so definitely look out for that if that's a market that interests you. On behalf of NEC Display, I want to thank you for attending today's Google Hangout. Thanks. Have a great day.
Thank you.